Well guys, it's a beautiful, kind of cloudy Saturday afternoon here. I just got done eating lunch. We're gonna go down to my mother's fields, about 12 miles due east of here, maybe a little more, and do some work down there today. We had about 12 acres down there that we had in oats this spring that I just got bales moved off of with our 8300 this morning, and we're going to take my Massey 1085 down there with the old Dodge and nice old Max D trailer, and need to knock down a few rows of corn that are full of weeds. We had them do a boundary off of the oats a little bit when they sprayed the corn that was down there. So we're going to go down and mow off about 4 rows of corn that's real full of weeds and not going to make anything. And then we're going to hook this Massey onto a disc we have down there and disc up the oat ground, and then maybe hook onto a spring tooth if I need to smooth it up further. And then from there, hook onto a little International drill and drill sedan grass. Might be a cover crop, might get baled, it's hard to tell down there. It's an old railroad right of way. I can show you better when we get down there, and I'll also explain. That's where all our flood irrigation is, so I'll actually take time when we get down there and explain all that. But for now, we're gonna hop in the Dodge and get on down the road. I love this thing. Need to buy a windshield for it though. All right, let's head east. Well, I made it down here. I'm gonna unload this Massey real quick, and then we'll talk about flood irrigated corn and how we go about that. Okay, first things first, our water here comes from one of 2 sources that we irrigate with. First is wells, just groundwater wells. In this area, we're lucky because we're in a valley just near the Nebraska state line, and our wells are 80 to 100 foot deep around here. Not quite like southwest Kansas or other places where you get down near 500, but really there's nothing fancy going on here. We have 3-phase power and an electric well with a submersible. Really not pumping a lot of gallons here, but it's really nothing fancy. It's just, I mean, that's it. That's the well. Just a panel we kick on and start pumping. When I was a kid, we actually used to use natural gas here. It was a giant pain in the ass, and we switched the day that motor blew up. We do have one other well on this property, and it's a little bit east of here, down near the end of those power poles over there, and it's also a 3-phase well. But we run them both together to pump for this corn here. I'll show you on this other side of the ditch. Okay, now we're down here in the cornfield. It is, I think it is a Brevant corn number, 113 days, but that doesn't really matter. That's not what we're here talking about. We are talking about flood irrigation. Our water comes up out of the ground, out of a pipe in the well, and goes into these gated, we use PVC pipe just because we get down here, our pipe, we have to follow a curve around the highway to go around what was old infrastructure, our irrigation ditch, which I'll talk about in a minute. But comes up out of the wells. We have 2 wells in this field. We join them together and we run it into pipe, and it comes out this gated irrigation pipe. You just slide them over to shut them off or open them. We usually set around here we just use our fingers to measure. Sometimes it's one finger, sometimes it's a pinky. We set these at 2 fingers width generally around here this time of year. And water. We have about 5 pipes running right now. I think total what we're pumping here is about 500 or 400 gallon per minute out of wells. But I think we got 5 pipes open, so about 25 gates, which every gate waters 2 rows. The way we make these rows, and I should have talked about this earlier, is we actually still cultivate these fields that are flood irrigated. This is our last one. We used to do a lot more. But you come in with the cultivator, and then after that cultivator pass, we come in with a ditcher or a hiller. A lot of guys run ditchers or hillers with shanks on each row. We run every other because we found it helps hold the corn together if the wind blows, or on beans, which we do beans down here, it helps the water keep from leaching row to row less. So we just hill or ditch every other row, and it creates the berm and creates the ditch here that we run water down. And you can see the row next to it. We cultivate it to get rid of weeds, which we got a little bit of grass and stuff coming now, not uncommon, but there's no big ditch there. And that's how we go about irrigating or flood irrigating this corn. Now, to add an asterisk to that, we also get water from a lake that is about 20 miles, maybe 25 miles as the crow flies west of here. That water, up until last year, well, this is the first year of it, up until last year was the last year it came through a canal. The canal is what you see right here behind me. We'll crawl up there, but we used to run water down the canal, and we build up head pressure, and it would come out of a gate that's down there. I'll show you a little bit. But here's the old canal infrastructure. As you can see, they would run water down these. There's a diversion dam basically straight south of our farm, actually 3 miles. They would dam up the Prairie Dog Creek and build up water and then release it down the canals instead of releasing it down the creek. It would run down the ditches here, and we would have a set of boards here at the end of the canal here to create elevation and head pressure behind the gate, so we would have enough pressure to run water out into our fields. And I'll walk us up here to the gate we used to run water out of. Now keep in mind, this is usually mowed down and burned out, but since we're not using it anymore, the irrigation district isn't maintaining it anymore. And we'll talk about our new infrastructure here in a little bit. But water would come, it would build up head pressure. The gate was, the boards were right there that we would use to hold water back, just like a little dam, and build up head pressure. And then we let water out these gates. You turn these wheels, it would lift up the gates down in there, and we would release water out those, and then there's a pipe that would come out on the other side of this ditch into a pipe, and we put it out into the cornfield. And at that time we were getting about 500 gallon a minute when we were doing that stuff. You can't commingle lake water and ditch water, so we have shutoffs in line to help conserve water, number one, but we'd shut off in line so the two waters never met, if that makes sense, because you can't commingle ditch water, and well water. But that's kind of how we always went about doing that. Now this year we have a whole new set of infrastructure we're working with, and we're still learning, but we're loving it so far. Try to get down the bank here without falling on my butt. It's steep. There's a big old ditch, about a 12-foot rise in elevation right there. But for this year we have new infrastructure. We have a pump in the creek, which I can go show you here in a little while. But we have a pump down in the creek. Instead of running our water down a canal nowadays, they have decided to let some of us on the eastern edge of this irrigation district, they put our water, because they were having troubles delivering water to us because the infrastructure for the ditch is getting old. They're having troubles getting water pushed all the way to us, 15 miles downstream from the diversion dam where they divert water out of the creek. So instead, they run our water down a creek now, down the Prairie Dog Creek, about half mile over there where that power pole is where our creek pump is in the creek. But nowadays we just have a riser over there next to the highway. We come over here, it taps into the field, and we irrigate from there. So it's a totally different infrastructure. We still get the same amount of water, more consistent water, because it's out of a creek pump instead of waiting on them to release lake water, which wasn't always every year. Now we can just pump natural flow, or they can release our allotted amount down the creek for us to pump. It's been a big change for us, but because of all of that, this could potentially be our last year of flood irrigating down here. We always kept flood irrigating down here because of this ditch. It was really the only feasible way for us to use this field. The field's kind of shaped like a triangle, so it's kind of hard to irrigate, and it's only irrigating, I think, 53 acres right now. But the plan is for, at the end of this year, after this corn crop comes out, we're going to take this ditch off and push it and level it off. This portion of the field's already leveled to flood irrigate. It has to be level to flood irrigate. But we're going to push the rest of this in, try to level it, and then put a pivot on this field. And I think at that point in time, we will be able to irrigate nearly 60 acres and maybe over 60 acres. We are permitted to irrigate more acres on the eastern side of this field, but we just don't have the water. We just can't push water that hard down the end of the field, and we were stressing corn too much on the other end, so we just quit doing that. But that's what we're after. We're gonna hopefully get rid of this big tall irrigation ditch, re-level the field, and have a pivot here, and maybe have some less maintenance. But another reason why it took us so long to get here is, you can see where I had oats over here. This actually wasn't part of our field up until 4 years ago now. This portion over here was actually the old railroad right-of-way. There was a line that went from east, or it was just west of Alameda, and it ran up towards into Nebraska, and they took that railroad out. So we have actually been working up the old railroad right-of-way the last few years and trying to get it re-maintained, and it's been a mess. It really truly has, because old railroad right-of-way, there's more trash buried in this piece of ground on this little like 7-acre swath than you could ever imagine. We just tear up machinery farming this stuff. But this used to be a railroad that is now our property. A bunch of adjoining landowners had to get together and buy the whole stretch of railroad together as an association, and then each of us got to buy what was on our property for a set amount per acre, basically, is the way that worked out. So we have been working on this. We took the railroad, really, when they gave up running the railroad through here about 10 years ago, they just absolutely gave up, the railroad did, and left pretty much everything behind. The railroad, the bed, all the trees got overgrown. We had weeds everywhere, and it's taken a while to get this back maintained. This oat crop I just took off, which is, I think we got 24 bales off of this oat field, is the first crop we have gotten off this stuff. It was so messed up from the railroad that it took forever to get it back in condition to do anything. So that's kind of what we're down here doing today. First off, what we're doing from now on today is we're gonna go mow like 6 rows of corn on the other side of that pile off that's full of weeds, because we didn't want them to kill our oats when they sprayed the corn. They left us a buffer there. The buffer came up with weeds, no big deal. I'll go mow it off, and then probably work it with a disc here in a little while, so we can drill that to sedan grass and just kind of have a cover crop to continue try to hold this old railroad bed together, is kind of the plan. But that's what we're up to. Then we're gonna, after we disc, we'll drill sedan grass, we'll get that on video, and we'll just continue to go from there. Hopefully this year we can burn that burn pile later this fall after we get those bales hauled home, and we'll get to harvest some really good flood irrigated corn here this fall too with my gleaner. It's been, I think, 3 years since we've had any flood irrigated corn down here. We had 70 bushel beans 2 years ago here. Last year we had another bean crop, just because we only have so much water we can use, and we had kind of flirted with using too much of our water allotment of well water, so we put it to beans for a second year because beans don't take as much water. Those got hailed out the end of July last summer, So now we are just down to this year. We never flood irrigated last year because we didn't need to. And now we got corn here, and we got some pretty outstanding looking corn. So it's probably 12 foot tall out in there. Like I said before my battery died, we got some weeds growing here on the edges. We're gonna come down and spray those with a 4-wheeler here later this week, get that cleaned up. Not a big deal. They're not real big yet. We can manage those. But yeah, my mom and I are down here every morning and evening to change gates, because we just keep changing sets and going further down the pipe every day. We change them every 12 hours. This is actually my mother's field. She bought it from one of her family members in 2000. She still owns it partially with my grandpa. So it's kind of an interesting deal. This is my mother's field though, and she's worked on it a lot. They used to do siphon tubes here back in the day with an open ditch. Just a lot more effort. Gated pipe's pretty easy, but hopefully here shortly we'll have a pivot. But for now, we're gonna go mow off some weedy ass corn. Got the weedy corn mowed off. Massey's gonna need a bath, and so am I after that. Lots of pollen flying. I can already feel my allergies firing up. But we're gonna come down here, and actually I'll show you our pump in the creek. Well, I was thinking about it, and on this end of the field, close to where the pump is, it's on single phase. We got a roto phase converter there to run it. But yeah, pump down in the creek. Not sure why there's water running out of that, but hey, that's not my problem. But yeah, it's just a floating pump down in there, kind of like a lagoon pump or whatever. We just throw a switch and kick it on, and it's all metered and gauged. There's a flow meter right there, so we all keep track of how many acre feet we're pumping. But there's not actually enough water coming through here right now to really pump, and that's why we're turned off. They actually have the gate shut on the diversion dam right now, so some other guys can get water through the canal still, because there is still some canal ditch in use. So that's all shut off right now. But I just thought to come show you this flow meter. It looks like they got some water bleeding back off of I don't know, somebody else that was pumping probably. Got hooked onto this disc now. It's an IH 470. I think it's like a 14 footer. We're gonna flip up the wings on it and just use the center. I would probably have enough horsepower to pull this thing as a 14 footer, but Dad, last time we used it to disc this railroad right of way, and it was, like I said, it's full of trash and stuff. We caught something and bent, or broke a couple bolts off and bent this back around. So don't have time to fix it today, don't have the bolts along to fix it today, so we're just gonna flip the wings up and run it as a probably like a 10 footer, I would guess. It'll still get this job done. It's not that many acres. If I don't get this all done today, that's okay. Just kind of need to do it sometime this week. So we'll put these wings up and then drive through the gap in the fence over there and start disking. We're giving her hell. There ain't nothing about farming this old railroad right away that's pretty. I will guarantee you that much. It's not smooth at all. There's still a lot of old rocks and spikes and metal and trees and posts. And who the hell knows what buried in here. And the guy that swacked this had some trouble with his swath. I think he broke a turtle. Why do I say that? Because I found the turtle when I was picking up bales. So that's not great for him. So he didn't get, the swath job wasn't the greatest, not his fault. There's just a lot of trash out here. We got this thing buried about as deep as I can set it, to be honest. I'm just trying to fluff this stuff back up, and I will probably end up, because I'm leaving an interesting little ridge here, probably end up bringing the spring tooth cultivator out that we ran ahead of oats. I'm trying to smooth it up a little bit more. There's just nothing about this that's good. We're just trying to kill the weeds that are here, till it, get it kind of smoothed up, hopefully more smoothed up with the spring tooth, and then we will drill sedan grass at 20 pounds an acre probably. It's just ugly. There's nothing good about an old railroad right away and trying to farm it. There's not much moisture here, big shock. But we're just gonna keep doing it. The old Massey, I got it in 3rd gear, wide open. I think that's somewhere around 5 miles an hour. I don't know, it's what it can pull it at. So that's what we're up to. Really, this thing's a great little tractor for this gig. Little 470 discs. Doing a pretty good job knocking down the stubble that's here and cutting it up. But you just nothing pretty about it. I'm gonna probably set the camera up on the fender there and point it back at the disc and let it do its thing. And then we'll turn it around and point it at the front. I don't know. There's not much to see here. It's not very exciting. It's just a disc. Well guys, got this center peat patch of this, what's gonna be sedan grass, I hope, disc. I got, probably over half done, probably about 1/3 of it left to do tomorrow. But it's Saturday, go home, hang out with the wife and kids. We'll come back tomorrow morning, hopefully, and finish disking, and then probably hook on to the little spring tooth chisel with harrow behind it and pull that across this stuff just to level it, smooth it, make it nice and firm, and then drill sedan grass from there is the plan. So we'll come back tomorrow and do that. Well guys, we're about ready to fire up and go again. I got my umbrella back up on my tractor. Cool story on this umbrella. That was my great grandpa's umbrella. He always had on his Massey combines when he didn't have cabs. First combine he ever had to be cab was a Cleaner F. So cool that that's getting used. I got a little rough this morning. Flipped the wings down, and I wanted to get that one that was bent up usable and straightened up, because using this thing as a little 10-foot disc just sucks. And I got it pretty good. You can see it's still a little bent that way, but mostly the biggest issue here is the frame is tweaked a little bit. So Guess I'm gonna have to track down one of those. But I got it straightened out pretty good for what we're doing. We're gonna hop on the Massey and work the rest of this field here. Then we'll hook on to my spring tooth cultivator and smooth this up, and then maybe see about a drill later today. Next tillage tool. I got this little crustbuster spring tooth hooked onto now. Just kind of trying to smooth this deal up. This didn't leave it the smoothest. That's pretty normal. Problem here is the oat stubble that was left long from the broken swather turtle. But we'll just kind of spread that out as we come to it, and hopefully it doesn't become too much of a dump rake. I already did a pass along the fence there where it was really bad, and it turned into a dump rake multiple times. Well, we're just going to try to spread it out as we go here, try to even this up, and make it good enough to drill oats into. I'm going to set you guys up over here and just watch me go back and forth. Well, I guess that's it for today. Was finishing up my last couple passes. Broke a disc. Broke the front gang on the disc. And now, yeah. The water pump decided to start squawking. And I would say, that's done. So we'll have to take this home and replace the water pump now. Joy. Guess I'll bring something else down to hook on to the disc now. What that will be, I do not know. Did I say disc? I meant drill. We'll have to bring something else down to hook onto the drill. The drill is just a little IH 510 drill, nothing special. 16 hole 8-inch. So we'll bring, I don't know, something else. I'm sure I have something else I can bring down here and hook on to do what I have to do. But that's disappointing. Sure, that's going to cost a little to fix, but that's how it goes with old machinery. So life goes on. We're going to go home. Time for some more midsummer chaos. I'm going to go grab a seed tender and hook it behind this pickup, go down to the drill and tractor where my case tractor and drill are sitting in that field, and drill that 18-acre field. Then I need to go hop in Dad's Magnum, which is hooked to a fallow king, and work another 18 acres so we can drill that sometime with the case and John Deere drills. And then from there, I either need to tomorrow stack bales another 8-acre field that was oats. And then I also need to work that field with the case and Magnum, and then I also need to go back down to our eastern fields where I have been working with the Massey. Need to take another tractor down there because the water pump went out on that. Finish running that Crustbuster spring tooth, then hook on that little case IH drill down there and drill that 10-ish acres. There's a lot of running around here for a lot of little patches. That's just kind of how this time of year goes. So we'll see. And then hopefully going to, well, I know I'm going to Garden City this weekend to an antique tractor pull, taking my Oliver in 706. And then when I get back from that Sunday, I'm going to take off and go to South Dakota, see a buddy, swing back through Iowa, grab a front axle for a tractor I'm working on that I haven't shown you guys for some reason. I will get it shown to you here shortly. And then picking up a radiator for a 4020 John Deere as well from that guy. And then coming on home and hopefully not be as busy for a little while, but who the hell knows. So we're gonna grab this seed tender and get right back to it. Well, we're gonna fill up now. So I'll set you guys up right there while I fill. Okay, should have plenty of seed to do this patch and probably another field. So we'll get this shut down. Go check the tractor, see if it's ready to rock and roll. It should be. It hasn't done much. It's just been sitting here parked, honestly, for the last week, waiting for this field to dry out. leaking a little oil. It's full of engine oil. And we're good. We are on the full side there. So, crawl up here. And wiggle the levers a little. Right to life. Okay, we'll let that warm up. Lift the hydraulics barely. So I can come pull the lock pins out here on the raised portion. Do that cotter pin shoved back in there. The other field we did with this case was a lot rougher than this one. This is some really smooth bottom ground here. There's one terrace in it and one low spot. Really not a big deal, not rough at all. So this field should drill a whole heck of a lot nicer and look a lot smoother. The other field we called the Goat Ranch for a reason, because it's a rough, I hate to say a piece of shit field, but it really is. Should have been left in pasture. Most of us agree. I have no idea why my ancestors thought it needed broke out, but they did. So we're gonna let that idle here and warm up for about 5 minutes. I'll move my pickup and tender out of the way and get to drilling. Just drilling along here. Nothing too exciting. You guys have already seen this, but I figured at least we're not bouncing like we were in the last field at all. So pretty darn smooth here. Just gonna keep right on drilling here for a while. Got the Steiger in the field now. We moved up about 6 miles northwest of where I was. We're working this, I think it's 18-acre patch. It's also going to go to sedan grass. I already ran the Quinstar or Fallow Master, whatever you want to call it, with 26-inch sweeps and pickers on the back through this. Left it a little cloddier than I would like. Not bad, but there's some. This is a good spot, but there's some spots out there where the ground was pretty hard. I left pretty cloddy. So now I'm going to pull this field cultivator through it, and hopefully the harrows on the back can help bust it up some, and then we'll see about running that guy there. But I got this Steiger warming up, got my air conditioning, cooling the cab down, and we're going to go to working. This is actually our third tillage pass across this field. We worked it with the Fallow Master, and then Dad came in here with the box blade and fixed a bunch of ditches, and then I worked it again this morning and well yesterday with the Fallow Master again to kind of knock down some grasses and stuff that come up. And really the Fallow Master didn't do that great of a job the last time we were here just because the ground was so hard, and it's still pretty hard. You can see clods out there, but we're getting them broken down better with this Sunflower field cultivator. If I remember correctly, this field cultivator is a 30-footer, maybe 32-footer. I can't remember. We used to have extensions on it, but with our front wheel assist tractors, we didn't have the horsepower to pull it. But yeah, we're going at 5.6, 5.7 right now, and not really struggling. I love this ag leader auto steer though. It was a great investment. Yeah, you can hear it. This ground's pretty hard. Tractor pulled down. I'm falling up a little back there, it looks like. Picked up some grass and stuff, but yeah. Those had water standing in them here the last time I worked it about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, that's been fun to work around for sure. But we're gonna get this work here with the Steiger, and then hopefully crawl in or on the case and get across this later in the afternoon. Morning, guys. We decided to scratch drilling anything on my mom's field just because there's absolutely no moisture there. We had oats on it. Oats sucked up all the moisture. Really hasn't rained enough since then to get a crop even started. So instead of that, we might hold off there and maybe drill some barley for forage or something later on, but for now that field's kind of just in a holding pattern. Still not mad that I worked it. It killed all the weeds and stuff like that, and so no big deal. We'll have to work on my little 1085 sometime here in the future. But I'm here in a field northwest of our farm. Our farm's 2 miles that way, all the windbreak over there. But we're here on 18-acre patch that we generally use just to grow feed. I ran a Quinstar or Flex King or Fallow King with 26-inch sweeps and pickers across this about a month ago, the first pass. Then we needed to fix some ditches over the hill here, which we got repaired now. Did another Fallow Master pass earlier this week. Got it pretty good, but had some clods out here that I didn't like. And then so yesterday I brought the Steiger out, which you saw, and ran it across, got it pretty smoothed up. This should drill pretty nicely. I know it looks barren and dry. Well, that's Western Kansas for you, but that's why we use hoe drills. They dig deep to moisture. So we're gonna go out here and just get to drilling. Got like 18 acres to do. I'd like to get done before it gets up to 95 degrees today, and then next week it's supposed to be 100 and some. So yeah, we're gonna get to drilling. Hopefully the crops make it through next week and we can catch some moisture, but it's not looking fantastic right now. But that old Dodge sure looks good. Had the case warming up here for a little while, so we're just gonna start in. Well guys, that's it. Case is home, drills are home. We're done drilling for a little while unless it rains. If it rains, we might. I think I have maybe 16 more acres to do, maybe. Not very much. So we'll just wait and see till then. I'm headed to tractor pull with the 706 and the Oliver this weekend in Garden City, and the minute I get home, I am loading back up and heading to South Dakota to pick up parts for a tractor you guys haven't seen. I bought it in the middle of planting season when I was really busy with a bunch of other stuff and just totally spaced. We'll talk about that tractor some here in the next coming weeks, because it'll be for sale soon. It's a really cool tractor, pretty hard to find. It is one of 73 actually. So we got a rare one there, and I do need to talk about it some, but we'll get there and we'll cover it when we get there. But yeah, we got a lot of things going on. I'm working on another 2-tractor deal with a bunch of other miscellaneous equipment as well. So there'll be a lot of videos here coming up. Just been kind of the dog days of summer trying to get shit done, to be honest. So until then, I'm the Red Tractor Trader. Go drag something out of the weeds and get it running.